we're doing better as a result of social media presence.
If it doesn't do those three things, then it's on the chopping block.
It's a return on investment discussion.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Daily Dealer Live. I'm your host, Sam Dark, and joining me today is the car dealership guy, Yossi. Yossi, welcome to the show.
What is up, Sam? Great to be here.
Yos, we're in a special place. We'll come to that in a minute. But we also have a special viewer today. We have the car dealer dad watching. Tell us who that is and what he means to you.
He may be watching, so we won't know till after the show, unless he comments, which I doubt he will. But
Yeah.
the car dealer dad may be watching indeed right now, so we gotta make him proud.
That's awesome. Well, hello to car dealer dad. Thanks for all you do. And Yossi, I'm broadcasting live here from the showroom of Ziegler's newest dealership facility. It's a ground up reno 2 years after we bought it, Ziegler Subaru Fort Wayne. So we're excited to be here on the showroom floor. And for everybody in the area, drop by, check out the new digs and say hi. I'm here actually on the showroom floor. So you may hear things behind me. You may see things. I think we've got a picture of the brand new facility. What do you think, Yossi, of these new digs?
It looks great, Sam. When was this completed, the renovation?
Literally the team moved in Tuesday. So what today's
wow.
Friday. So it was just a few days ago. It's new enough that the conference room door still sticks. So we're working on that,
awesome.
but it's a beautiful facility. There's still some work going on back in service and elsewhere, but we're pumped to give this great new experience to our customers in the Fort Wayne market. So
Sam, funny story. I actually mentioned this on a podcast before, but when we were designing a renovation to our dealership, maybe like a decade ago at this point, I had wanted to put a really large awning for the customers. And I won't forget the architect looking at me like I fell off the moon. I'm like, what? He's like, do not put a large awning. Everyone's just going to smoke cigarettes there.
yes.
And I was like, wow,
yes.
like I didn't think about that. So I
Yeah.
always remember that. I just always remember that specific point, how I was like enlightened at the moment. I was like, yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah, no, we're excited to have this facility. The team has needed it for a long time. You talk about an awning. They've been in a trailer for the past 6 months. So through the winter, through the heat, through everything, they've been
The worst.
selling cars. And now we're in this new house. So props to the
Beautiful.
entire team there. And seriously, to anybody in the Fort Wayne market, come by and say hi. So Yossi, let's remind everybody joining our live stream today. We're live across all CDG social media platforms. Post your comments, all of them. We want every single comment. We'll bring as many into today's show as we can. And check out what we've got coming up today. So we've got Glenn Lundy, president of 800% Elite Automotive Club, to talk to us about all things automotive, the marketplace, and what the heck is going on out there. And then CEO of Swickard Group, Jeff Swickard. We're going to have an exciting conversation with him as well. So, but first, let's dive into today's automotive headlines. So first up today, check out CDG's buy-sell tracker. If you did, you'd see that Bravo Nissan of Victoria has officially changed hands. First-time buyer Benji Ura acquired the store from Bravo Auto's Raymond Palacios and Alex Flores and is rebranding it as Nissan of Victoria. It's the second Nissan store sold by Bravo Autos in recent months, and as more Nissan rooftops change ownership amid soft brand valuations. We've seen it here live that Nissan is a good entry point for new dealers and a good entry point for dealers looking to grow and expand because of the valuations currently. Further north, Reed Auto Group just added its first Ford franchise, buying Max Ford of Harrisonville in Missouri and renaming it Reed Ford. Sellers Mark Muller and Bob Jackway passed the reins to Randy Reed and his sons, Trevin and Tyler, who now operate 5 rooftops across Missouri and Kansas. Props to them on that acquisition. This move underscores a broader trend of smaller family groups expanding into underpenetrated Midwest markets where consolidation opportunities remain strong. Meanwhile, Auto Canada is officially backing out of the U.S. This after years of underperformance. The group is selling 13 of its American dealerships. It is big, and it's been long anticipated because rumors are flying all over about it, including Auto House of Peoria, which is Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, VW, and Bloomington Auto Mall for, get this, $82.7 million to multiple unnamed buyers. These exits are expected to close in the second half of 2025. And Yossi, To everybody who's texted me this week, stop texting. It's not us. But to your point, this is big news in the Illinois marketplace from the Canada to Illinois piece. And it's something that I think has been long anticipated, as many have anticipated Auto Canada's exit from the U.S. market, Yossi.
Yeah, huge deal. Sam, did they state what was the driver for them exiting? Like why now or anything specific?
So our commentary from our CDG news team states underperformance of the dealerships. And I think we've seen that. There was also FTC action, which may have also
That I
prompted
remember,
that as well. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yep. So, all right. Next up today, according to
let's not, and of course, I think it's important to mention that if you do want more details on any buy sell, cdgbuysell.com. You can just go to cdgbuysell.com. Everything's there. We typically get information first. People are sending it to us now in real time. The tracker has been live for about a week. So give us feedback. Let us know what we can do better, how we can present it better, however we can, just continue delivering better information to you. But expect this tracker to continue growing. We're putting everything in there and filling it with as much information as we can get access to.
From my perspective, Yossi, in dealership, there's two things that have blown up over the past couple of weeks. One is the buy-sell tracker. The other is the compensation tracker. So many people in automotive are like, hey, what does this job pay? What does that job pay? You have to, in the past, subscribe to something, pay money, and then you get copies of things. Here, you're providing the pay tracker as well, the compensation tracker at no cost, which is pretty cool.
So for those that have been listening to the podcast for quite a while now, they know that, or they may have already picked up on the fact that we're like the Energizer Bunny. We can't sit still. So there always has to be something coming out, right? This new thing, and we're not just doing it just to do it. We're asking, okay, what would be helpful, and what information do we have access to? So the compensation tracker is another tracker that we just built. And it's literally what it sounds like. It's a compensation tracker for our industry, and it's free. All this stuff is free, right? We don't charge for this stuff. It's not paywalled. It is email gated, right? Put your email, subscribe, but it's free. So anyways, compensation tracker is cdgrecruiting.com/comp, C-O-M-P, cdgrecruiting.com/comp.
Boom.
And that's, we basically, what we did is we took all of data from our business, CDG Recruiting, which is our sister company. And we just crunched it and we said, all right, let's give like ranges for what is happening in the industry today with all the roles. So that's also been a really big success, and more to come.
Mic drop from the entire crew at CDG. All right, next up in the news, according to a new survey by Urban Science and the Harris Poll, there's a growing disconnect between what dealers think matter and what buyers actually want. Shocker, in three key areas. First, dealer enthusiasm for AI-powered tools remains strong, but positive consumer sentiment around AI in the buying process has actually declined year over year. This is fascinating because we hear so much about AI in the market. Second, and EV demand may not be as inevitable as some expect. While most dealers believe interest in EVs will continue to rise, nearly half of car buyers say they may never be ready to own an EV. Shocker, I've been saying that for some time. And only 47%.
I don't believe that, Sam. I don't believe
you
that.
don't think that's true? I'm hanging on
BS.
it. Harris Poll is
You're
right. And only 47% think EV only options by 2040 are realistic. I believe that 100%. And Yossi, the solution to that is one word: hybrid. Hybrid is going to be the solution of the future. Full electric, I think that adoption is going to be tougher. Agreed or no?
Look, I love hybrid. I mean, hybrid's the moneymaker right now, and it's been great for the transition. But I think as the EV assortment and just the actual vehicles get better, I think you're going to continue seeing more adoption. I just don't believe what consumers say. I like to see what they do.
Okay.
I talked about that as well in prior episodes, like revealed preferences and all that versus stated preferences. And consumers just, I feel like their actions typically give you the best data. So I still think we're going to continue seeing growth in this segment, but it's going to require a much better product, which the industry will likely have. And anyways, that's my take.
All right. Well, and third, so I promised three items. First, AI powered. Second, EV. I'm sticking with the hybrid. And third, even though 94% of dealers think the direct to consumer model appeals to consumers, only 64% of buyers agree. And while 93% of dealers see it as a threat, 90% of consumers say they still prefer traditional dealerships over online first retailers. Again, this according to Harris Poll, and this is super timely, Yossi, because Monday we're doing a special first Daily Dealer Live roundtable, and the entire conversation will be what is the best model, direct to consumer
huge
/ online, franchise, or broker. We're bringing in reps from all three segments, and it's going to be game on in this conversation, which we invite you to join in on. So
yeah, we're gonna have some spicy conversation on Monday. I'm really looking forward to that. And I have one word, Sam: omni-channel,
Okay.
omni-channel, omni-channel.
Yeah.
Stop
Be where the
telling
customer
people
wants to be.
Stop
Yeah.
telling people how to buy. Just like we're not telling people how to consume media. You want to read,
Yeah.
you want to listen, right? And you want to view, like omni-channel, right? Be there for the
Yeah.
customer, have the store presence, let them buy however they want to buy. And then all this is moot. It's irrelevant because at that point you're meeting the customer where they're at. That's my take. Omni-channel.
There are so many vendors out there though today that are selling this direct to consumer online, 100% presence online. Amazon's one. There's many others. I think it is fascinating that the polling of the consumer, who you say you don't trust, Yossi, is saying most customers don't want that experience. They still want that brick and mortar.
I think there's definitely some companies out there that are working on fully online. I think it's a select few that are focusing on that. If you look at some of the largest auto services businesses in our space and some of the largest retailers, they've really leaned into omnichannel, which is a fancy way of just saying be online and in store, let the customer start and stop wherever, right?
Yeah.
It's no different than when you buy an iPhone or, you go to the Apple store. So I think I think the industry is going to continue going that way. And that is coming from someone that personally was, a steward of millions of dollars of capital focused on the online car buying way and eventually pivoted to omnichannel. So,
yeah. And finally, Yossi, third up today is something I got called out on earlier this week. I went too easy on Ford. One viewer said, Dan C made a comment. He said, call the Ford recall numbers right. Well, in our news recap this morning and finally up today, Ford just issued its 90th recall of the year. This 90th recall covers 700,000 Bronco Sports Escape SUVs with a fuel injector issue that could cause fires. The defect affects certain 2021 through 2024 Bronco Sports and 2020 to 2022 Escapes with 1.5 liter engines, and Ford estimates it will cost the company $500 million to resolve. Previously, Ford had issued software-only fixes for this issue in 22 and 2024. This notice comes just days after a separate recall of 850,000 vehicles for faulty fuel pumps, pushing Ford past GM's in all-time annual recall record. What's the bottom line here? Well, with quality issues mounting, consumer relationships could be tested, and I added to it, dealer relationships could be tested as we ask, what on earth is going on? So,
no comment. We just had we just had Ford's head of U.S. sales strategy on the podcast the other day.
What did he say about the recalls?
Well, she said,
what did she say?
We were focused on many other things, their EV strategy and stuff like that. I brought up the recalls, and it's only one person in a large organization. It's clearly putting a stain on the brand at the moment. They got to take care of it. There's nothing else to say. What was promising was the sentiment was definitely more pro dealer. She was being very vocal about that. I asked her about that, like what changed, why now. So tune in for that. It should drop next week, I believe. But the recall thing is a huge stain. They got to fix that.
The one upside is it's service business. The downside is it does affect and impact consumer confidence. So, well, Yossi, that's a wrap on the news this Friday. We'll be back again with our news on Monday. So let's transition into our first guest today, our much anticipated guest. Up with us today, president of 800% Elite Automotive, Glenn Lundy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Honored to be here.
Glenn, we're pumped to have you. Thanks for being here on the show. So you just flew back to Kentucky, just arrived at your studio after spending the entire week out in the field, out in dealerships across these United States. After your visits in store, we want to ask you the question we ask everybody first up. How's biz?
Oh my gosh, man. I guess it just depends on which store you go to, right?
Ooh.
Wait, I want to, before you answer that, Glenn, what is biz? And I say that like sarcastically, but can you tell us a little bit about what you do along with How's Biz? Because I'm not too familiar with your specific lines of business. So if you could kind of mesh those two questions together.
Yeah, sure. So I work directly with owners and general managers of dealerships on the training and consulting side, helping them scale their businesses. And then I have a team that also works with sales managers, F&I managers. We work with salespeople, so on and so forth, all across the country. So I'm on the road at times in stores and speaking at different events. This past week, we had a couple different events, one in Jersey and one in St. Louis that we were doing some speaking at. But ultimately, what is biz? The biz is the business of the car business, man. This thing that you and I love, that I've been a part of since 1999. And man, what a time to be in the car business, right?
It is a great time. Yeah. So you say it's different depending on where you are. What's the differentiator? Why is it hot in some places and not in others? How about that softball, Yossi? Go ahead.
Yeah. I think the biggest differentiator is the leaders of the organizations, how quickly they're able to pivot to what's happening in the market, man. The dealerships that I see that have a lot of red tape, a lot of policies to go through, or that move slowly are the ones that are seeing really real big downturns in June. And as we've been heading into the summer, into this third quarter, but the dealerships that are pivoting on a dime, that are quick to make sure they have the best tools for their people, to make sure that they're training properly, and to make sure that they're leaning in on what's going on in the market. Like, for example, you guys were talking about hybrid versus EV. I agree that the EV adoption is going to continue. I think the hybrids are the bridge that get us there. I've got some dealers that won't touch it. They're like, I don't want anything to do with EV. No used EVs, no new EVs. It's like, no, man, that's not the play. The play is to try to figure out where the puck is going. And those are the dealers that I see that are winning.
Ooh, that's a reference or an allusion to the Gretzky quote. You skate not to the puck, but to where the puck is going, right?
Yes, sir.
So you've famously grown a store by 800%. It's the name of your company. What's a change a dealer needs to make in July of 2025 to up their game to that 800% increase? In a world of all the noise out there, tariffs and interest and supply shortages and excess and uncertainty, what's the first big change that a dealer needs to make, Glenn?
I was going to say, I don't know how long we have on this podcast when you said, what's the change we need to make? I think the very first thing that I'll say, and this will probably be different than what most people would think, but we've got to change the way we start our day in our dealerships. Most dealerships around this country, people show up at 8:30-ish. Everybody grabs their energy drinks, talks about what they're going to have for breakfast. Then we figure out who's going to get breakfast, right? It's always 6-car Fred that we send over to McDonald's to pick up some sandwiches for everybody. And then after talking about Fortnite and everything we did last night, maybe around 10:30, we actually get to work. And one of the things that we did out the gate is we changed the way we start our day by having daily morning meetings where we listen to our people, we encourage our people, we advise our people, and we develop our people. That's the acronym for LEAD: listen, encourage, advise, and develop. And by starting the day and giving these people a roadmap of what to do at 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, and 11 o'clock, you can literally shift and transform the entire dealership just by changing the way they start their day.
But Glenn, how do you respond to the person who says this is a generational thing, right? The younger generation, they just don't want to work that hard. They're just not early in, last out, FILO. They just not interested in giving up kind of their lifestyle and some of the choices that they get to make to do that. What do you say to that?
I say they just don't want to work for you, bro. They just don't want to work for you.
By the way, that's not what I think, and nobody thinks
you,
that.
Not you. Thank you. That person that says that. They just don't want to work for that type of leader, man. They don't want to get kicked in the teeth every day. They don't want to grind 12 hours. Like, one of the biggest mistakes we made in this industry is we made it okay to only perform 33% of the time.
Oh, I love that.
Like,
Yes.
why is the average in this industry 8 to 12 cars a month per salesperson? You're basically saying it's okay to sell one car every 3 days that of the month. That's insane. So we've set ourselves up for failure in a lot of ways by creating negative environments, by not holding people to performance levels, not creating environments where people can actually be successful. If we make the dealership thrilling, dude, when I was running this store, we grew 800%. I couldn't get people to go home. I couldn't get them to go home. 20-year-old kids, 22-year-old kids. They wouldn't leave.
I want to chime in, bro.
Yeah,
Glenn, you mentioned like the 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30. What can you give us the specific regiment, or at least one example of what that morning regiment looks like at some store that you advise?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we break down our salespeople into teams, right? We train our dealers on how to do that. And so each sales manager has a team, which their pay plan is tied into. So 8:30 to 9 is the daily morning meeting, which includes frontline salespeople. Other people call them BDC, but it includes frontline salespeople, right? It's the whole team. And so we have a daily morning meeting, 8:30 to 9. At 9 o'clock, you meet with your team leaders. That's when we're diving into the CRM. We're going through our deals from yesterday. It's when we're walking the lot, making sure we do our trade walks so that we can see what inventory has come in so that we know about it. That's when we're posting together on social media, the first post of the day. That's when we're sticking cars out there on Facebook Marketplace. So it's an opportunity for the leaders in the organization to work directly with their team to help make sure that they're starting off the day in a successful manner to set up for success the rest of the day long.
Why is it, Glenn, that some BDCs aren't invited to the sales meeting? I've never gotten that. Like, there are stores out there that say, hey, BDC, they're in an office, they make phone calls, we don't want to bring it. Like, the insanity of not bringing them in. What are some of the objections you get to combining those into one meeting?
Well, this industry, we're known for doing this, right? So when the BDC movement began, it was, let's take the receptionist, have her respond to leads, him or her respond to leads. And then when they run into an objection or a question they don't know an answer to, let's give it to a showroom salesperson or give it to a sales manager. That's like how the whole BDC thing started, right? So fast forward all these years, that's been perpetuated. And most of our BDCs, the reason a lot of them don't work in a lot of dealerships is they think it's a glorified receptionist.
Right.
Interestingly enough, if we look at the data, we have more customers coming through our internet showroom than we do our physical showroom. So why do we have 10 physical salespeople out there waiting for us, sitting on the porch smoking cigarettes, and we've got 2 glorified receptionists actually responding to the 75% of leads that are coming into our stores? So switching that up, we had to just change the verbiage. Instead of a BDC, it's frontline salesperson. We have frontline salespeople and we have showroom salespeople. They're both trained as salespeople. They can make the same money as salespeople. They have all the opportunity as salespeople. They just have different daily roles.
So there's a trend right now in an attempt to reduce expense and also lean more into AI of eliminating BDCs altogether, saying, hey, salespeople should be that quote unquote frontline. What's your response to that? Are BDCs still valuable in today's world in July of 2025? And what's the role of AI to help enhance that in your experience?
Yeah, if they're a glorified receptionist, no. Get rid of them. Absolutely. Like I can totally understand. Get rid of that expense. You don't need it. Right. But if they are fully trained sales people, then yes. And it doesn't have to be an additional expense. Right now, you've got 10 salespeople on the floor, each averaging 8 to 12 cars a month. Take the 4 best ones, the most organized, the ones that are the best on the phones and the ones that hate going on test drives. Take those 4 and say, you're now our frontline salespeople. The other 6 are our showroom salespeople. Personnel's still the same, right? Pay is still the same. All that stays the same, but now our customers get a better experience. If you don't do this, here's what ends up happening. If your showroom salespeople are handling your leads, the better they get, the worse the experience for the consumer. Because now everybody's out on a test drive while leads are coming in, and it's taking way too long to respond.
Glenn, when you say pay is still the same, you're not saying pay plan is still the same, right? Different incentives, different pay plans, but similar pay ranges.
That's correct. And the overall, I still just have 10 people that I'm paying. right? I don't need to have 10 showroom salespeople and then go add 4 BDC, which would be 14 people. Instead, I still have 10 people all making a great salary, whatever's a little bit above market in your area. That's what we always recommend. Pay a little bit above market in your area. So your salary, your comp is still in line. You just got better performance from everybody.
Yeah.
I love that idea of rebranding the BDC, the frontline sales department.
Absolutely.
In fact, someone from 800 Elite F&I just said frontline warriors. And to your point, investing in the training in that department, props to that comment. Investing in the training in that department shows them the respect they're owed as that first touch point, and it ensures a great experience all the way through. So great comments. Glenn, Lasco, Ford, Facts, James Brady, exact, or 1 car per day per salesperson every day, 8531 back from 800 Elite F&I. So what caused you to rebrand the BDC this way? Like, is this one of the first steps in that 800% equation?
It is one of the first steps, and our language matters, Sam, right? Like words have meaning. And over the years, like I read this book called The Liberty of Our Language Revealed, and it really transformed the way I look at the way, the words that we actually use and the energy that is behind them. So with that said, as long as we call it a BDC, we're going to treat it as a business development center, right? We're going to treat it as glorified receptionist. That's how we're going to treat it. Even me, psychologically, knowing that that's not the right path, we have to make sure we're using the right language. So shifting it to a frontline salesperson. Now it's like, oh, okay, wait. They need to be in sales training. They need to know how to figure taxes in a different state. They need to have access to the key machine and whether there's a key in the box or not. They need to know where a car is in the service lane. They need to know how to read a credit app, right? As soon as we attach that salesperson to it, it shifts the entire dynamic of how we treat them. And that's the key. That's the role. And that was a huge part of our success.
Yeah. So we have one comment from Gary Teitelbaum. So you had a dealership in Lexington. I don't know if you still own it or not, but the question that he has, would love to learn more about what happened with Glenn's dealership in Lexington. Was such a focus on documenting the process, Gary V style, full transparency. And he hasn't heard a lot lately about it. So what's the rest of the story? Is whoever it was online used to tell with the dealership there in Lexington.
Have either of you ever been in a bad partnership?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yossi, have you? Okay. Yes.
Yes. Simple as that.
All right. Mic drop here first on the Daily Dealer Live. You get that from Glenn. All right. So Glenn, take us to today. You've got tariffs, you've got interest rate, you've got payment affordability, you've got all the noise. When you think about the culture that you create on the showroom floor and this focus on training, development, execution, what's one step that a GM that's frustrated with teams that are hearing this noise could implement today to remove the noise and focus on the business of selling cars in July of 2025?
Yeah, I think it's really important in times of chaos and confusion. People seek certainty. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for certainty. So as a leader of your dealership, even though you may not know exactly what's going to happen a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, or 12 months from now, you need to invest the time, effort, and energy to make sure that you can lead with certainty. That means doing the research. That means training yourself, growing as an individual, as a GM or as an owner, to make sure that you're staying ahead of the game and what's going on in the market so you can deliver that effectively. Communication is the key in chaotic times, right? Over communicate. I personally believe this is the best time in the history of the auto industry.
I agree.
There's never been more opportunity. It's incredible. And that's the message that should be delivered from the top.
Yeah. Where do you think the biggest opportunity exists overall in automotive today? Thinking about all the different forces that are out there. If you went and bought a dealership that was average, is there a specific area, service, sales, parts, body shop, culture, whatever? Is there one area you'd focus on more than another?
Yeah, used cars, man. Used cars is and has been for a little while the biggest opportunity in the auto industry. It's something that we can control. We can't control the manufacturers. We can't control, during that whole COVID thing, when everyone was saying there was an inventory shortage, I said there wasn't an inventory shortage. There was a new car shortage, but there was plenty of used vehicles. It would blow my mind going around this country seeing empty lots. I'm like, what are you doing? Right.
Yeah.
And so used cars is really the opportunity. And I think that a lot of our franchise dealers out there have maybe relied on the manufacturers for too long, and they really need to get in this used car game, get a full understanding of how it works in order to be able to grow and thrive in the upcoming future.
So in your training and in your engagement in the stores you're in on a daily basis, is there a process that's just crushing it in used car acquisition, used car sales, used car marketing, merchandising, recon? Is there something that just stands out in your world?
Yeah, for sure. So you guys are going to think I'm like a caveman, dude. I try to make everything so simple. Like I do not claim to be.
We like simple.
Guy. I like simple, man. Everything needs to be really simple. So one of the things that we teach right out the gate for all of our clients is replace what you sold yesterday. Very simple. If you sell 4 used cars yesterday, a 22, a 24, a 2020 and a 2025, whatever model, whatever it was, first thing, if that's what you did on Monday, first thing Tuesday, I need you to replace those 4 units. Now we're gonna replace them through 3 avenues. First, we're gonna look in our service lane and see if we can find one there. Second, we're gonna go private party, Facebook Marketplace, etc. See if we can find one there. If we can't find one in either of those places, we're going to the auction and we're going to buy it there. Now, why is this so incredibly important? Well, one, on that car that I just sold, I probably generated 8 to 12 leads. If I now sell that car and I don't replace it immediately, one of those 12 leads buys from me, the other 11 go buy somewhere else.
Yeah.
Whereas if I replace it immediately, I can now call those other 11 and say, hey, hey, Mr. Customer, that vehicle you were interested in just sold yesterday. Great news is I've already replaced it, and this one's got 400 less miles. It's actually in better condition. Would you like to leave a deposit on it today so you don't miss out on this one selling just as fast? So it gives me an opportunity to re-engage with the rest of those leads.
I love it.
The second thing it does is it makes my inventory match market demand, not used car guy opinion. Right? Like, obviously, if I'm selling these in this market, whatever that is, there's a demand for it. So I want to replace those vehicles as fast as I can. And the third thing it does is it keeps this roller coaster from happening. Most dealerships around the country, they have a record month followed by what? A shitty month. Oh, can I say that?
Yeah.
A really crappy.
No, you can. Yes, you can say it.
Record month followed by crappy month. Why?
Yeah.
Because their inventory drops. So then they go out and buy 50 cars, 30 cars, 100 cars, whatever it is, which pisses service off because service is backed up now with all kinds of units, right? And they're trying to time the market, which is like trying to time the stock market. You just can't do it. So if you just do real simple, replace what you sold the day before, your inventory slowly and steadily grows as you add trade-ins, etc. You can continue to have consistent growth like we did. This is my plaque right here. This is what it looks like.
Love it.
That's what we did month after month after month, right? That's the kind of growth we recommend. And that's what happens if you replace what you sold the day before.
And by the way, memorializing it in a way like you did with a plaque is super cool. Glenn Lundy, president of the 800% Elite Automotive Club. Folks can reach out to you via social, via the link in the show notes, and at 800 Glenn 800 Lundy. We appreciate you being on the show and sharing your perspectives and giving our audience some nuggets on increasing their month here in the month of July 2025. Glenn Lundy, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I really, really appreciate it. You guys are doing some killer things, man. It's pretty awesome to watch.
Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, you bet.
Some good tips. I love that, by the way. Renaming the BDC and training and really bringing them in as part of the sales team. That is gold.
Yeah.
So
I like that he got tactical. That was cool. I like that a lot.
Yep. Well, let's turn to our own Anna for our market pulse, the industry pulse this week.
The breakdown. Actually, it's the breakdown. It's Friday.
Yeah. And Anna's going to walk into the breakdown. Anna, welcome to the show.
Really interesting topic today that I think is something that most people may not realize. Some might be starting to see it happening, right now, sort of a little bit, but I wanted to take a really big deep dive into it today, so I'm excited. Um, every year when summer rolls around, the theme of the season is incentives, incentives, and incentives. But for obvious reasons, this year is looking a little bit different. Many OEMs are kind of pre-gaming their tariff pain by pulling back on incentives before they might be forced to jack up sticker prices later on. And dealers are under more pressure to keep deals alive. So for this week's breakdown, we looked at 3 dynamics shaping the incentive landscape right now. First, automakers are trimming support. In Q1, the average incentive package ticked up year over year by about $150 per unit, landing at around $2,900 overall. That's from JD Power. But by Q2, they dropped back to $2,700. And May was particularly rough. VW, Mazda, Volvo, Land Rover, and BMW all slashed incentives by 10% or more, according to Cox. Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram were kind of following right behind there. And on top of that, 0% finance deals made up just 0.9% of all new car loans last quarter. And that is the lowest share on record since 2004, according to Edmunds.
Wow.
But remember, these tariff-driven price increases aren't expected to hit until Q4. But several OEMs, they're dialing back now to protect those margins later. But there is one big exception, and that's with EVs. EV incentives hit a record 14.8% of the average transaction price in June. And that's likely due to the news coming out that the federal EV tax credits are going to be repealed. And so now there's going to be a mad rush to take advantage of all those opportunities for EVs. But dealers are still navigating kind of this tumultuous landscape right now, and that affordability pressure is kind of landing right there on their desks. At Koons Motors, I talked to the CEO over there, Alex, and he told us that right now every deal starts with the trade-in appraisal. If a customer shows up in a Ford Fiesta and they're asking about an Expedition, his team digs in right away to investigate the situation, what their current payment is, income, their life circumstances. Because if they're paying $299 a month for a Ford Fiesta and they think they're going to get into like a $90,000 Expedition for $500 a month, like that needs to be addressed well before the test drive. Because when someone, when you're showing someone a truck they can't afford and then try to walk them back to a less expensive model, we know that doesn't work. And this strategy isn't unique to Koons, but it's a really effective one. Although Paul Sansone Jr., who, we had on the show not too long ago, he's kind of taken things a step further, built his own lease-to-own program, which is fascinating to me. Basically, customers lock in today's price and then they do a month-to-month kind of payment. But the cool
He's very
thing is,
deep subprime. Yeah, he's very heavy in subprime.
Gotcha. Yeah. And the cool thing is he holds back half of the payment, and it accrues to eventually become a down payment when these customers are ready to move into like more traditional financing. Takes about 24 months on average, he said. And over that time, their credit scores are jumping. They're getting some, coaching from the dealership, and it's just building a lot of loyalty. And also, Paul gets profit on kind of both sides of the deal there. Thirdly, the good news is, when we're looking forward, is this incentive standoff probably won't last that much longer. And that's because inventory is stacking up. Despite all the tariff headlines, imported vehicles are still flowing in. And with about 90 to 100 days of aging inventory, dealers also have to think about their floor plan costs now. The problem is it's becoming a bit of a game of chicken. I got to catch up with Aaron Keating over at Cox Automotive, and she told me that automakers are still in a war for market share. You know, no one wants to blink first, but someone's going to have to eventually. And
So
yeah,
Anna, I'll tell you, it is interesting and it's a fascinating topic and very cool to have you cover this incentive deal. I have a prediction, Yossi, as Anna wraps here. I think the OEMs are watching this Daily Dealer Live today and listening to Anna and the feedback you get and probably modifying some of their incentives, because you're right. We see that in our own world. Incentives are needed right now, both in the form of payments and also in interest rates, subvented rates, because we're seeing a little bit of inventory. Some OEMs, not all. It's needed to help continue to stimulate buying as we get outside these summer months. So Anna, thank you so much for being here and sharing your perspectives on this.
yeah, absolutely. It's been great. And, I think moving into Q3, Q4, as we settle in here, I think incentives are going to come back. Inventory doesn't
Yes.
lie. And, we've never been an industry like in history that I can think of where we just go back, like lay back and say, let's just let it age. Let's
Yeah.
just, let things
Yep.
go. No, if sales continue to kind of plateau like we've started to see in June, like incentives will definitely come back. The spigot will reopen. And, I think we'll probably see some targeted programs at first before more broader competition. But of course, we have Ford, and now Hyundai has come out with some newer programs that are driving traffic. So it's going to be very interesting to watch through the rest of the year.
All right, Anna Del Villar, our CDG editorial correspondent in the field. Thanks for coming on the show today. Share your perspective.
Thank you, Anna.
And to everybody out there, when Anna calls, answer your phone, provide feedback, because this is where it all begins. This is what drives things in automotive. So today's episode of Daily Dealer Live is brought to you by Mia. Meet Mia, your 24/7 super employee who works like your best rep on their best day. No more phone trees or slow tech, just human-like conversation for sales, service, and support. Mia speaks multiple languages, Paruski, even Russian, integrates with your systems, and books appointments instantly, ready to boost revenue.
That was nice, Sam. That was nice.
I don't really know if it speaks Russian or not. I'll check it out and I'll let you know later. But find out how at mia.inc, and you can also click on the QR code there to find out more. So Mia, thanks for supporting
Mia's
the show.
The real deal. Yeah, it's voice AI, and lots of dealers are implementing it into service departments. Not just service, but I'm seeing that in our text group. So let us know what it's like in your experience, and we'll give them feedback.
All right, next up today on the show, we turn to CEO of the Swickard Auto Group, Jeff Swickard. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be part of it. It's kind of fun to listen to Glenn. He's got some compelling tactical suggestions and Anna's incentive update. And, I don't know. And I'm going to check out Mia. So I've learned a lot sitting here in the waiting room.
My man. Jeff Swickard, welcome back. Jeff, we had a pod.
How are you?
I think good. When did we recorded? I don't say a year ago, under a year. But that was that podcast did some rounds. You at the time you had told us about you're leaning into hospitality. I'd love to know how that's been going for you. You're almost a year into that. So what's it been like shifting your group? And how many stores, Jeff? Can you remind us how many stores in your group?
We have about 40 rooftops and 54 franchises.
40 rooftops, leaning into hospitality. What's that been like for you?
Well, I'm so glad you focused on it. I think, hospitality it's a really interesting transition for automotive, in my opinion. So I like to compare our business to the Las Vegas Strip. So I would like to tell you that we've got a couple dealerships that represent what I would say high hospitality models like the Wynn. And we still have some that represent maybe low hospitality models like the Golden Nugget. So, and then everything in between. So we're trying to elevate all of our dealerships, all of our franchises to kind of a standard of care, a hospitality standard that's similar to what I would characterize as what you'd experience at the Wynn or maybe the Four Seasons. And there are some groups, automotive groups, that I think have successfully accomplished this as well. So, and we have a 5-year plan that started with the leadership of the dealerships, making sure that we had leadership in the dealerships that bought into this kind of hospitality model. And now, there's a training plan. There's a kind of control the controllables plan. So you and I could talk for a very long time and bore all of your listeners about our hospitality milestones, but it's going well. We're 1 year, to your point, we're about a year and a half into a 5-year plan to kind of what we would call, transform the dealerships from traditional kind of car dealerships into hospitality boxes.
I want to double click on that. So my prior company, as we scaled, and when we were at around 200 employees, one of the things that I became very cognizant of was WIFM, right? What's in it for me? And I began everything I would communicate to the team. I would communicate with a WIFM perspective, right? Who am I speaking to and what's in it for them, right? If I'm going to a lot attendant and I'm telling them, hey, we need to begin doing this, well, why? And I would always come from their angle. Well, it's going to make your job actually easier because the car will not be clogged with 50 cars blocking the showroom or whatever. And so you had mentioned on our last, and that was a good example, right? You had mentioned on our last podcast, specifically you used these words. You wrote, I'm fighting gravity when it comes to culture and getting that leadership accustomed to this new way of doing things. Give us the scorecard. What's it been like fighting gravity? How have things shifted for you over this past year?
Well, I guess now you're reminding me how dramatic I am. I think that it may not be as hard as fighting gravity, but I think it's just, it's a cultural shift, right? It's, we want to find people who are not only good, quality salespeople at least in the front end of the business, but also people who wake up every day wanting to do something good for someone else, right? There are people who literally just wake up every day and they want to do something good. They naturally are, their instinct is to be hospitable. Their instinct is to do something kind. And that's who we want to employ. Now, it's hard when you have, nearly 3,000 employees figuring out who wakes up that way and who doesn't. But we're trying to reward that, and we're trying to do storytelling and, things where showing examples of where hospitality matters. And then I also think just human nature, it just feels good to do things right. And it just feels good to do things kind. And I think that there's a natural kind of reward for people who do that. So we just need to find those opportunities, during our kind of day-to-day work, and where we can do something special for someone, whether it's an employee, a customer. And then as management, we need to highlight that. We need to show that. We need to explain that. And we need to reward that. And it's tricky. It's hard to capture those perfect moments. It's hard to, read a customer and understand when we need to lean in. Other customers just want speed. So being hospitable is just treating them their time very sensitively. So there's lots of different ways that we can do it. But I would say that it's not quite as bad as fighting gravity, but it's a very significant transformation effort. It's not easy, and it will take us a long time.
So another point there is that you also said, I love bringing up things from the past, right? It's what I'm here for.
Well, in the meantime, I think I need to focus more on Glenn's tactical suggestions, because I started thinking I might be the company that's moving too slow. I think I need to start focusing on his tactical selections instead of trying to
that's good.
Solving world hunger for trying to make this hospitality environment.
So let's talk tactical. You said you had specifically said technicians know if you care. Right? Technicians over here, 40 rooftops. You're clearly not physically present at every single one at the same time. How are you doing that in your stores, right? How are you letting technicians know that you care? How are you nurturing your techs, which are some of the most prized resources for people in dealerships, and they're so tough to get?
Yeah, I think I don't remember the exact comment, but I can tell you that on both sides. So let's start with the customer first. I would argue that the customer can tell whether the technician that worked on their car cared, right? So I think that customers know when a technician cares about them and their car. Everything from resetting lights, cleaning cars, making sure that, everything that their presets on their radio and their seats are done, back to the normal. So I would say that if you start from the customer back, the customer knows whether a technician worked on their car, cared about them or not. There is a degree of care and love that goes into repairing a car that customers can experience. They know it. So, okay, so if you start at the customer back, and then also, I think that our technicians, part of, I think with any employee, including technicians, is just to make sure that we're communicating. We're actively communicating with our technicians, explaining what matters to customers, explaining what matters to their coworkers, and then quite frankly, listening to them in terms of what matters to them. So everything from making sure that we keep them up to date on technology, training technicians on, videos and showing how they can communicate actively with their customers and make things easier and create that exchange. Because I would argue that when someone comes into the car dealership, it's very similar, the service department, it's very similar when you go into the emergency room at a hospital, right? You want to see the doctor. You want to talk to the doctor. You don't want to talk to the admitting clerk, someone in between. You want to talk to the doctor and explain your condition or the condition of your loved one. And I think and the same is true when they come in the service department. They love to hear from the technician. The technician is the doctor. The technician is the knowledgeable source. So from our perspective, connecting the technician and the customer, we think is healthy for both parties. And that's helped us. So, I think communication with technicians, giving them really competent leadership, listening to them, hearing them, and then, really trying to connect them with technology and getting them closer to the customer, I think is very fulfilling for our technicians.
Which does trump. Well, it does trump like conventional wisdom, at least it used to be, which is the technician don't get them close to the customer. Like they don't want that. Like that's very different. At least my time growing up in the car business, that was not what was the norm. But I get your point.
So you got to let me chime in here with Jeff, because Jeff, I agree 100% with you. Like what we found in our own auto group is technicians crave credit a little bit. They crave acknowledgement for the tough work they've done. And they have one of the toughest jobs in the entire dealership. They have to sit under a hot vehicle and repair that vehicle, unless it's at the Ferrari store and it's much different conditions. But being able to sit in front of that customer and connect with them either by video, using like a video MPI, or in person is huge for both. Customer craves it, the technician craves it. And the biggest lie, I think, in automotive today is that technicians can't speak well to customers. I absolutely disagree with that 100%. Technicians want that connection, and where you give them the right setting to do it, they'll take it all day long. Now, the worst thing, Jeff, is you can only put a technician in front of a pissed off customer where they get screamed and yelled at and things thrown at them. That's the worst thing. And that might be what you're talking about, Yossi, is but way back when, those were heated altercations, and you don't want that. You want the good interactions, Jeff, right?
Well, the reason I didn't think mobile service would work, and we're going like years back, was because that was my concern. Was it like, will the technician customer alignment thing work? Right. And clearly it has worked. And in some dealerships and some companies, it's worked at massive scale. There's no doubt about it that the thesis has worked. But that was initially what I thought was, will they be able to get an alignment with that customer?
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think the technicians, our technicians, and I'm we're fortunate because we have great brands that make great cars, right? So usually there isn't like this really significant resistance in terms of the customer, the technician. But I think the other issue is that the technology is really moving quickly in a really promising way. And so I feel that the technicians these days are basically they're working on with a laptop on wheels. Our technicians are really smart. Our technicians are really capable. Our technicians are at the top of their game. And so I'm not worried about our technicians getting on a video. I don't want to employ a technician that I cannot put on a video. And our technicians do a great job. Some are better than others because some are more, camera friendly than others. But to me, I think it's one of the coolest things we've done in business is getting the technicians on videos and sending them to the customers and having the customers respond to them and, ask questions. It's not super interactive the way the technology is designed today. So, a lot of it still goes through the service advisor, but I personally think that I think that the customers appreciate it for those who watch it, and our technicians appreciate it because it helps them be more efficient in their stall, and it helps them to explain it in greater detail. And I think it's just like connecting them right to the doctor. What's wrong? How are you going to fix it? And do you want to go forward with the treatment or not?
Jeff, before we talk about your really big acquisition, which when I read it, I was confused. I wasn't sure if this was or what this asset was. I'll tell you actually a funny story in the CDG 20 group text message. One dealer, I don't get offended by this, please. One dealer,
I might be offended. I'm very sensitive, Yoshi. Be nice.
One dealer that was not familiar with Portland was like, the name Big Pink is worth 100 million blue alone. So I got a kick out of that. It was a good one, but we'll talk about this in a second. One last question before we transition to real estate acquisition, not automotive, is what are you focused on for this next quarter, these next 6 months, right? For the latter part of the year here, what is on your mind as you think about the dealer group performance, right? What's next?
Well, this goes back to me listening to Glenn more and coming up with more tactical strategies and suggestions. Perhaps I should, hire someone like Glenn to help me. But I think, we are very steadfast in our 5-year plan of transitioning these dealerships to hospitality. And we are also trying to improve our the measurements that are important to our manufacturing partners. We want to be better partners as we move forward. So we bought a bunch of dealerships really fast. Almost all of them were bought within a 5-year window. And we installed 7 open points. And so we were learning as we were going. And now we want to perfect our business. We want to look to see what's most important to the manufacturers and to our people. And we want to figure out, how to solve for those. So we're spending a lot of time on the scorecards for the manufacturers. We're focused, if you want a more tactical view, we're focused primarily on, things that we can control, pre-owned, fixed, things like that. And then leadership. It's just continuing to refine and get our leaders better and better and better, and getting people closer and closer to the leader that can help them. So whether it's a customer or an employee. So for us, I would say that we're a little probably too high level. I need to, I think I do really need to listen to some tactical suggestions. I'm going to leave here with a bunch of notes, and so of things I need to change. But I think that that's really what we're focused on in the next 6 months is just. And then the other side is that I will tell you that we are, that we have chosen to divest, 3 or 4 dealerships, or
That's
we've
discipline.
identified.
That's discipline.
Because we just don't think we can crack the code, and we want to be, a premium partner for our manufacturers and our people. And if we can't bring that hospitality, go ahead.
Jeff, is that OEM driven or is that location driven? Is there a particular OEM that you feel like, hey, it just doesn't quite match what you're looking to deliver in the hospitality model?
I think it's a combination. And, I think there's other things that, for us, it's not, we just need to be honest with ourselves and say, okay, there's times when we're going to overperform, and that's where we like to live. And there's times when we're going to underperform. And if we cannot perform, when I call underperform, none of them are a mandate by the manufacturer or anything like that. I wouldn't be on the podcast. I'd be there working. So, I'm super embarrassed. But I think that we want to be good manufacturer partners. We want to be a good partner to our employees. We want to be a good partner to our customers. And if we cannot crack that code and hit all 3, then we need to move on to a place where we can. So we'll be acquiring, you'll see us acquire a little bit this year, but you'll also see us divest a little bit this year of places where we just couldn't crack the code. And, and the manufacturer deserves a better partner, the customers deserve a better dealer, and the employees deserve a better employer. And so when we can't do that, we want to divest a little bit. So you'll see in the next 6 months, we already divested, announced 2, and I think we'll have 1 more, maybe
Wow.
2.
Okay. Jeff, before we wrap up here, and appreciate your candor, we got to talk about your massive acquisition. You just purchased a second largest skyscraper in Portland, the Big Pink, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Big Pink, remove the. This is a hell of a skyscraper, 42 story office building. Again, very, very, I would say, going against the grain here. Office hasn't been too hot. You clearly believe something else is in store here. Tell us about this. Why? I want to know all the details. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think people call it the big pink, whatever you call it, whatever you want. It's officially, I mean, it was officially the U.S. Bancorp Tower. And I think that, I mean, we have been over the last 10 years collecting real estate. And so, particularly in markets that we're in that we think are, accretive to our business plan from a real estate perspective. So this is not completely out of left field. The challenge with this is it's just such a high profile purchase. It's not so much an economically high value purchase. It's really just so let me just back up a little bit. Now I'm going to bore your listeners so you can edit what you want. But I went to the University of Oregon. I grew up in California. My mom was a school teacher. My dad worked for the federal government. I went to Eugene, Oregon, to the University of Oregon. I graduated from their business school, and it changed my life. And when I went to Portland and I saw the largest office building in Oregon, which stands prominent at the edge of the city. I mean, to me, that stood for everything that was possible for an enterprising young, business school graduate. So it's deeply personal to me because, everybody knows where Portland's at. But, I believe in Portland, and, I'm proud of being part of bringing it back. I mean, I didn't buy just a building. I feel like I bought part of, Portland's soul and a piece of, to some degree, my own story. So, I mean, to own it and to be trusted with something so iconic, it's just really personal and an emotional, kind of milestone in my life. So
like buying Powell's books,
now the plan
Powell
is,
bookstore.
What do you do with it? What's that?
Yeah. It's like buying
What do you
Powell
do with it?
bookstore. It's an iconic thing, but
Yeah. And I mean, I love Portland. I love, and I always have. I love Oregon. So, I mean, Oregon gave me my start. I mean, it shaped my values. I mean, it helped me to, build something bigger than I ever imagined. So, I mean, I just think that, this building is watched over Portland. If you've been to Portland, you've seen this building. It's watched over Portland for 40 years. It's seen the highs, the lows, the heartbreak, the grit. I mean, but now it's going to be part of the comeback, and that matters to me.
Well, Jeff Swickard, CEO Swickard Auto Group, we appreciate you being on the show today, sharing your perspectives on all things hospitality and your expansion and just everything you're doing in the automotive realm. Thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yossi, good conversations today. And don't forget,
Amazing.
Monday coming up, the roundtable, we'll be talking franchise model, we'll be talking broker, and we'll be talking direct to consumer model, Yossi. So it'll be a fun show coming up this
It's going to
Monday.
be a good one. Excellent show.
All right. So to everybody out there, thank you for watching the Daily Dealer Live, where we break down the biggest moves in the car business as they happen. Don't forget, we're here live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if this is your world, hit like, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never miss a beat, and we'll see you next episode.